it's Amelie. Today for just practicing, we're going to do the sonata in the sonata in C major by BACH. And so it's a live stream. So if you have any questions, comments, you can leave them in the live chat and we'll answer them right away. Yeah, so I'm gonna just play a couple of notes and then I'm gonna start that piece. Okay, let's see. So first movement, andante and presto. So it changes in the middle of the movement. So I'll start with the andante. Okay, I have to figure out where to breathe here. Okay, so bar 2, last beat between the C and the E. I'll breathe there. So I guess if you don't breathe there, if you don't do a trill, you could breathe. It all depends on the... Yeah, I remember adding a trill on that E, D, like the last beat of 4. But if you don't trill, you could breathe there. So I have a decision to make. If I do a trill and I don't breathe there, I'll need to figure out another spot. Okay. I'm not sure. Maybe I won't trill. I'll try that. If I was trilling, I would just take a breath on the second beat of 3 between the F and the C sharp. And I'll keep the 2 options open. You know, if you're practicing, you make a decision, you can always come back and feel, no, that's better the other way, and I'm gonna change that breath. But just make sure that you're making decisions and you're going forward and you're in learning the piece, that it's not just playing for playing and you're actually making some decisions and improving on the playing. Okay, so
somebody wants to know like how to find spots to breathe in that piece, like they're having trouble on deciding where to breathe.
Yeah, okay, so we have a video about how to pick where to breathe. So maybe you should look at that video. It should be helpful for you. But in general, I try to listen to a cadence and breathe just after. So I don't... Okay, so a cadence is when the phrase ends. There's a harmonic... progression. And usually you have 5-1. You have a chord, a dominant chord, and a tonic chord. Like, if I do a cadence, you'll hear it without even knowing what it is. Like, let's say... One second. I'll just do this. So here, the phrase ends there. You know, if I go, that's a cadence, okay? And even in the melody, you can hear those things. You know, in a scale, the seventh note is the leading tone. Like that?
Oh.
More?
Mm-hmm.
Like that? Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. So in a scale, the seventh note is the leading tone, and so that note really wants to go back to the tonic, to the first note. So you're in C major here. So B is a note that wants to go back to C. And usually F wants to go to E. Those notes are attracted, you know. I'm talking about C major, of course. So here on the second bar, you see you have B and then C. And that's pretty much where your phrase ends. So after that, C is a good place to breathe because you can take a little bit more time. You see? So you go. Sorry. Because something new starts after that C. And the piano here just has a quarter note. So you have time to breathe, and a good pianist should follow you with that. Especially if you tell them where you breathe, they will mark it and they will follow you. Then, you know, bar 4 is the easier spot because you have a long note. Just shorten the E a little bit. Okay, then it's a bit more. You can breathe after the F there. When I played it a few years ago, I had less air. I used to breathe after the B flat in bar 3, and then I would breathe in bar 4, just before the last note. I would do. I'm not sure. Like bar 5, let's say you want to breathe there. Maybe after the first note of the third beat, and instead of doing slurred by 3, I would just take a breath between the E and the B flat and change the slurring there if you really have to. If you don't have to, you can go to bar 6 after the F on the 4th beat, and then okay, so I took a breath after the E at bar 8, but it's slurred in my music, and it's urtext. Urtext means the editor didn't add anything. It's as close to the real text that the composer wrote as possible. So I guess he wanted it slurred. So after the C on the fourth beat of 7, I'll take a breath. And then at 9, third beat between the first and second note of the beat. And I think I will try not to take one at 8, but if I had to, I would take it on the third beat between the E and the high D, but I'll try to avoid it. Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna try to do the whole thing to see if I can actually do it, because it's something to be able to do those 2 bars when you just took a breath. But if you've been playing for a while, it's a bit different sometimes. You can lack a little bit of air. So I'm gonna check it. And at the same time, I might just put my tuner. Sometimes I like to just see what are the tendencies there for me. Okay, so I took more breaths than I expected. I'll add them. So I didn't take I think I'm gonna do that trill at bar 4. And I'm gonna take a breath at the second bar after the F. Then at 5, I think I took one at the second beat. Where did I do that? No, I think it did. Okay, so bar 5, before the last note, before the A, I take a breath. I'm not sure. You see, I would have to do it again, I think. But you can see how I work about that. So I go and I try, and then I do it again. I check if I actually had enough air, and if not, I can add those. So it's a work in progress, you know, that's how I work it. And I try to do things that are logical with the melody, so I don't chop a melody just in the middle. You know, I don't chop a phrase in the middle. I try to be able to finish something, or if not, I'll take a very subtle breath, you know, because you don't always have to go. You know, sometimes it can be almost not noticeable. You move, you barely move, you go. You know? So let's say. So if you're taking a breath that's inside a phrase, maybe you want to be more like. But if you're finishing a phrase, you can just finish your phrase and then take a bit more time. So it's all about compromise. And then obviously, like, you can change the colors in some spots, you know, like at bar 2 when you start this new thing. There's something different here. So I think the beginning, maybe I would start mezzo piano, and then here I would be more mezzo forte at the second bar. And I would really try to go for those higher notes. Maybe here at bar 5 to contrast piano. And like it's not big dynamics, but at least it changes a little bit the color, it changes the intention. Okay, so I took one before 9, at 8 before the last 8, before the last note. And yes, so when I went to 7, I was a bit louder. And then I tried to change because you always have that same. And then. And then. And the third time he goes somewhere else. So try to do something a bit different each time. And then we're at the presto. Any question? Okay, I'm gonna continue because I'm taking a bit too much time maybe. I just did it once all slurred because I thought my sound was not so good, and I feel that when I slur and just focus on the sound, then when I add the articulations, I try to keep the same mask and the same air stream as when I was slurring everything. I just add the tongue, and I feel that the sound is better in my tongued parts if I practice it slurred. But not just practice it slurred with a purpose, which is work on the sound, remember the feeling, keep the same feeling, and add the tongue, you know. Okay. I think for that I would have to practice it with a metronome. I'll just try, because I'm not having my whole life here. I'll try it very fast once just to see where it's a bit more difficult. Then I might try it slowly once. That's way too fast. But just was a way to see like the real spot where I would have to practice more is here at bar 15. Yes, I saw little spots where it was easier to slow down as well. And so I'll take a breath, obviously, at 24 at the third beat. I don't know if I'll be able to not breathe for all that time. What I'll try to do is take a lot of small breaths along the way. I'll do it once pretty slowly. Okay, so now I have to really pick places to breathe. You know, during that long part that had like from 19 to 24, you don't have much time to breathe. So I'm gonna do detached and piano there, because this way it's gonna be a bit easier to not breathe. Detached takes a little bit less air than slurred. I'm gonna try to do it like that. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna take dum da dum bum 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 da dum bum 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 not sure. So I'll take a small one before 15, I think, but it's a weird place, isn't it? Because I know that's what I used to do, so maybe I'm just repeating something, but okay. I think I'll take small ones between each 8 notes before that long passage. So I go dum ta dum bum 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 ta dum. So after that E on the third beat of 11, I'll take one. Dum bum 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 ta dum bum 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 bum. Then at 13, between the first and second notes, ta dum bum 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 bum. 14 between the first and second note. And then 14 between the on the third beat as well, and between the first and second note of the third beat. And then I'll play that thing, and then at 16, third beat between the A and the F. 17, third beat between the E and the G and the E. And then I'll take 18 between the first and second note, and then third beat again, and then again at 19, first beat. I'll try that. So I take way more breaths just before, like at 17, 18, 19, I take a breath on the first and on the third beat, between the first and second note of the beat, first, third, a few times. So this way I might have enough air to go through the whole thing. Let's see. My stem is going down. Yeah, I think it works. Obviously, I would have to work on it again, but that's a good start. So that shows you a bit how I work, you know. And so, yeah, piano during that thing. And then at the end, you can go back to and you just ended on the dominant chord here. Like you're not finishing on C, you're finishing on G. So it's preparing for the next movement. Yeah, Lego. I don't remember. When I played it when I was younger, I used to play it at 108. And I'll see the slurs that I'll pick. No, I don't like it all slurred, all detached like that. Oh, maybe I like that. I'll try it like that. So I did all detached, except when I have ta-da-ta-da-ta, I slur by 2 when it goes down like that. Yeah, I think I'll do it like that. So when it goes down for a little while, like a little scale going down, like all neighbor notes, I slur by 2, and the rest I'll do it detached. For now, you know, maybe I'll listen to a version eventually and be like, oh, no, that's better, and I'll change it. And it's all okay, and it's part of the process. At 17, I'll do one detached, 3 slurred. Okay, I'll do the first part now. I like that. Ta 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 ta. Maybe I'll do the same here. Ta 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 ta. No. Okay. Sorry, I'll do that again. Ta 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 dum. Ta ta dum. Ta ta dum. Ta 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 ta. Okay, I'll try again. All detached here. Sometimes you have a good idea, but when you get to do it, you realize it's not comfortable, and so don't fight it, you know. Well, I don't fight it. Okay. And here to breathe, it's pretty easy. I think you breathe when you have a rest. I'll do it again just to be sure. Okay, so obviously, like, I can breathe from 13 to 20. Maybe you might need to take a breath somewhere there. So it could be a good idea maybe at 17 after the first beat if you really need to. So that would be a good spot. And also like, so you could take another one at 19 after the first note as well. You know, usually after the first note of the bar would be a good spot there if you really have to. But what I notice a lot is people usually take a good breath when it's the first breath, and then the following breaths we tend to just try to take it so fast that we don't put any air inside of our bodies. Like, it's just like barely here, you know. So just make sure you really open all your thorax and the back, and that you really fill up, because just trying to take a very quick breath, if you're trying to be too fast, then it's not an efficient breath, and then that can be a problem. And also sometimes some teachers say don't lift your shoulders, and I agree in a certain point that don't play like that with stress in your shoulders. The shoulder blades should be placed, you know, together and low. But obviously when you breathe in your lungs get bigger and full, they push and everything goes up, the shoulders as well. If you're trying to push down your shoulders, you're going to constrict your breathing. So be careful that you're not going against your body and you're just letting it be and do its own thing, you know. So I can continue. Is there any question? Okay, obviously all those fast passages, you know, metronome, starting slowly, learning by little increments. Don't learn the whole thing at once. It's less is more, you know, less is more. So instead of trying to do the whole thing in one day, just do a couple of lines very well and then go to something else the next time. You don't need to do everything all the time, especially in the beginning when you're learning the notes. Also, you can identify the scales that are used and try to work on those scales, change the rhythms, change the articulations, and just repeat, you know, and do it often. It's not just about practicing a long period of time in one day, but spreading it spreading it during the week. Okay, so now I'm at 21. What's going on? I like that. Okay, so obviously here I was just playing it while asking myself some questions about articulations and breathing. So I was not, I know my rhythm was not perfectly there, and that was not my goal, and I knew, and I let it. Practicing is not about being perfect while you practice. It's about getting to where you want to get. Like, so let's say previously when I put the metronome very fast, just to do a diagnosis of what was easy and what was tough. So if I was behind the metronome, it was just diagnosis for me. So I knew, oh, that's a tough spot. I'm going to practice that. And what I was able to play with it. You know, I was not using the metronome to understand the rhythm because I already understand those rhythms. It was really a diagnosis thing. So you have to know what you're using the tool for, and then, yeah. So that's it. Okay. So here at 21. So I'll just do ta 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 when it goes down, same as in the first part of the movement. Okay, just writing it down. It's more efficient to write down faster so you can start to work on it that way faster than just not make a decision. It's better to, then you can still change your decision afterwards. And then all detached. Then slurred by 2. 37. I'm not sure here. Okay, so I'll go ta 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 kata 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 ta 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 ta. I'll do slurred by 4, then 1, 3, then 2, 2. 4, 1, 3, 2, 2. That's for 41 and 42. Then 2, 2 going down. Okay, I'll go from 37. No. There's something weird here. I'll do slurred by 2 at 41 instead of by 4. It's easier for me. I'll try again. Okay, and I'll take a little breath between the F and E at 47. Ta da 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 da. And here it's pretty obvious where to breathe. Like you have rests. And you have long notes like at 33, like at 37, 36, 37. Same at 38. Sometimes you have big chunks, but you see like at 39, you start a big part where you can't breathe anymore, but you had 37 and then 38 to breathe. So like make sure you take big ones so you have a little bit ahead, and then I'll try it from 21 just to see if I can get through the whole thing. The thing is, I'll try it with a metronome, but not too slow because I want to see for the breathing part. I'm not practicing for the technique here. A little bit under the tempo, but I'll see. 41. 42 after the second beat, you know, between the G and the B on the second beat. I could do the same at 41, second beat, same thing. So I think it's better to just choose one though. I think I'll just take it at 42. Yeah. So that's it for the breathing and the slurs. Now, like, it's about what emotion do you want to convey in there, and where are you gonna change the dynamics and things like that. Do you have any question?
Yeah, what exercises can you do to develop fast fingers for that piece, you know, or maybe for any pieces where he wants to.
Okay, so in general, if you look at pieces like that, a lot of scales, because you can see you have G major scales. Obviously, it's not just going from C to C. Maybe EJ4 is a good thing, because EJ4 in Tafanel and Gobert, the 12 daily exercises, you know, you go. So this way you kind of start it on every note, and so that's really how it's used in real music, because you don't always start from the same note and stop on the same note, but it's really the same patterns, you know. So scales, and you see, like at bar 5 now you're in F major, so, and then G major at bar 7. So if you practice C, F, G, at one point you're in A major, so yeah. And then arpeggios and scales and thirds. If you know your scales, arpeggios, scales and thirds, it's kind of 90% of the music. And then learn the music, you know. Do studies. Studies have a lot to offer, a lot to teach. And then when you learn these things, you know, you can learn it like an exercise, like anything else, and you can start super slowly and say, okay, today I'm learning the first line, and you go, even simple tonguing to begin with. Maybe that's even too long. Maybe you do one bar 3 times, the second bar. You know, you don't have to do, and then you can practice all slurred. If you're just working on the fingers, sometimes just practice all slurred. And what I like to push myself to play faster is to pick just, let's say, a small, like 1 beat plus 1 note. I love that. 1 beat plus 1 note as fast as I can, then I take a little break, then 1 beat plus 1 note, like this. And then maybe 2 beats. Obviously, I'm even playing faster than I need to, but if you're practicing to make your fingers able to play faster, that can be a good way, because doing a smaller portion, it's easier to go faster than if you're trying to do it at that speed for the whole line. So you can practice it like that. And then it's very, very good to practice slowly sometimes, because practicing slowly gives us control over our fingers. So sometimes just go back to slowly. And what I like to do is to put the metronome, because I always tend to go back fast. Like if I'm comfortable, I'll go back to playing fast. So I use the metronome to keep me from going too fast. So let's say I'm doing it at 80 or even 69, let's say. And so on and so on. So that can be ways to practice. Obviously, everyone says keep your fingers close to the keys. That's a good advice. But you can also see some very good players whose fingers are not that close to the keys. I think it's really about knowing your patterns, and you can play pretty fast. Like I would never advise someone to put their fingers far from the keys, obviously, but yeah, try to keep them as close as you can, so that it's good for you. Is that a good answer? Yeah. Anything else? No. So yeah, so I was saying, like, after that it's about dynamics. What emotions are you trying to convey there? I think it's really, for me, it's like, I don't know. I'll try to play it with some, I don't know, let's say some things. I'll try something. So here it's so interesting. You have da ga da ga da, and then and then he goes somewhere else the third time. So it has to be a bit more each time. I don't like that place to breathe there. I won't breathe there. Between the G and the A, but I'll breathe at 17 after the B though. Clearly it's not perfect. I would have to work on my tonguing, and I think the way of doing that is that I would practice it inverted. So I would go kata, 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 like that. I would do it as an exercise for the whole movement, and then when I do it back to what it's supposed to be, I think it would be better. Okay, so you see, try to see those things that come back when it goes back up a little bit, Second part would be I think it's something happy, free, and happy and free. And you have those da 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 da, and just I see big lines. Just try to find something that inspires you. It can be movements, images, taste, smells, whatever you find, emotions. Okay, adagio now. Do I have this piece? I had 44. It seems a bit slow for an adagio. I'll try something. Okay. I think it would be a smart thing to practice it per 8 note, that thing, the beginning. Especially for those. You see, like at bar 3. Because the second 8 note is on the B, you know. Tam da 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 dum pam. And you have the same thing very often. And also you get, let's say at bar 8, da di da da dum pam pam. And yeah, so you have those two things with the 30-second notes just to be careful with. I don't know, it's pretty simple. And then good places to breathe are, you know, when you have those notes that are slurred, let's say every time it happens, but let's say the first time it happens, it's between bar 2 and bar 3, you have that long F, just that long F, shorten it a little bit before you continue. That's a good place to breathe every time you have that. Any slurred notes like that are good places. Should I play it again, or it's pretty straightforward, I think? And like for slurring, like try to slur things that are close to each other and detach the rest, you know, like you see here at an 8 between those two D's is a good place to breathe, and at 4 between the two C's too, because you have a clear cadence there, and then something else starts. You can make a little break between the two last A's. If you're afraid that your A is a bit low, maybe put your pinky. It raises it a little bit and it sounds a bit better, I think, with the pinky. Yeah. I think that's okay. It's very peaceful, that one. So, like, that's what I would try to get out of that. It's peaceful. And follow the line, you know. Da-da-da-da-dum, pom, 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 pa-dum, pa-ya-dum, pom, pom. You know, like a singer, really. Okay, let's continue. Right speed for a minuet, like a 1, 2, 3. It's like a dance, but it's a pretty slow dance. Yeah, pretty much that, huh? 104. Yeah, so it's a dance. Make sure the first beat of the bar, you really understand that it's like the downbeat. And for the breathing, so between bar 4 and 5 would be a good spot, and then and then 9, 11, 12, 13, 14 after the E, after the first note. Those are good spots. And if you do repeats, maybe first time loud, second time piano, or something like that, or the opposite, but make sure you change the dynamic there. Or maybe the second time you add some little ornaments, like, I don't know. Something like that, you know? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. So try to make little differences, but I'm not sure I had good ideas here this time. Maybe something like that. A little trill here and there. And then the minuet 2. Okay, so here in that second minuet, you're in A minor, but the sonata is in C major. So you can't end there. You really have to redo the minuet 1. You don't have to do the repeats if you don't want to, the other repeats, but that you really have to, because you have to finish in C major. Yeah, I think, I would do it mostly detached, except the slurs that are already in the text version. And really feel it. And don't forget that in Baroque music, like Bach's music, all the music from 1600 to 1750, it's Baroque music. And Baroque music, when you have trills, you start on the top note. So it's not like... It's... Let's say you have B, C trill. You don't start on B, you start on C. Maybe I'll play it one last time, that one. So here you're in C major. So I think I would do a little bit more piano when I'm in minor, or, something more intimate, maybe a bit sad. And here you're in E minor. So can put your pinky on that A to make it sound better and a bit higher. And like taking a big breath at 17 before you start would help, because you have a passage to go, and maybe not playing it too fast. And that whole section, it moves a lot, you know. You have A major, A dominant 7 that goes to a D minor, and then you transform that into a G dominant 7 that goes to C major, and then you transform that into a F that goes, you know, it's moving around, and that's interesting. So just make it feel like they're chords, because each bar is a chord there at 17. So it's all one chord going to the next, you know. You don't need to understand exactly, but like if you understand that that's a chord going to another chord, and that some notes are attracted to other notes, just being aware of that, if like just your musical intuition will make you convey that in your music. And then obviously, like I said before, you have to redo Minuet 1 to finish. So I think that's good for that piece. Any question?
Just regular questions now.
Okay.
Somebody was asking, they get very tired after playing for 10 minutes, and is that normal for most people? And they've been playing for 4 or 5 years already, and they still have that problem.
So someone's very tired after 10 minutes of practicing and is wondering if it's normal after 5 years, 4 or 5 years of playing. Tired how? Like out of breath or physical pain, or?
Looks like out of breath and just can't play, like stop playing, like. Yeah.
Okay, so not tired in the rest of life. It's not health. It's just when they play the flute.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Well, I think it shouldn't be normal. It's normal in the beginning because it's a new thing. If you've been playing for years and after 10 minutes you're exhausted, I would think it's the posture. Because if you don't have a good posture, it can affect your breathing, but also it brings pain, and pain brings fatigue, you know. Make sure that your head is in line. So the easiest way, you know, is to bring your chin in. So this way you keep a long neck. If you're like this and you bring the chin in, right away you're in better alignment. So that, and then also think about your shoulder blades as going together and down. So they go together and down. And then you bring everything else, but don't bend too much, you know. Bring your head to the left, bring your flute to your head, not your head to your flute. And look at yourself in the mirror, just doing long tones maybe for 2-3 minutes every time you practice, just to see how you are placed. If you have a teacher, talk about it with your teacher. Make sure you drink water while you practice. Nothing sweet because it's gonna wreck your flute. If you drink orange juice and you play the flute, it's gonna make sticky pads. So just water. Stay hydrated. I think the posture should be it, because if you're like this and you're trying to play, it's tough to breathe, everything's tough. So also no need to put the arms up. Some people do that. No, everything in line, the body in line with itself, you know. So like that, not like that, and no shoulders like that, just normal, as in line as possible. So that would be my guess. If you're very tired, that would come from the posture.
Cool.
Or maybe also holding the flute, and maybe a thumb port could help, because sometimes the flute is wobbly and maybe you put a lot of effort just holding your flute. Check our video about the posture.
The person does have good posture, and I've been practicing it since I've started, but I don't get tired. I get intense pain in my jaw. I don't get tired.
Oh, not tired.
No, so
intense
not tired.
pain in the jaw.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're probably pushing too hard with your flute. So when you play, you have one motion going this way and one going this way. So if you're pushing very hard on your chin, then your chin has to push the other way, and that could be it. So make sure you're not pushing too hard with your left hand towards you, and also that you're not, like, if you play, that your chin is in alignment with like where it should be, and that you're not going like this too much, you know. Doing too much movement with the with the chin and the lips, because very often people think, let's say we talk about flexibility, like saying you can go from low to high all the time, or like you have good flexibility. So people think, oh, it means I have to move a lot, but it's not the case. You don't need to move a lot to play the flute. And so you can get a lot of fatigue in your jaw, and just because you're moving too much, because that word kind of implies that there needs to be movement, because flexibility is movement, but it's just flexibility in the registers, but not physical flexibility really. Because look, if I play low notes and high notes, I barely move here. So it's stability that brings flexibility in your different in intervals. So maybe it's that. Let's try that. But so those things, sometimes it's easier to work with a teacher, that then you can explore together. And when someone sees you, maybe it's gonna be like right away knowing.
Fat Rad was wondering, I'm a flute player in marching band and I'm in 10th grade. Is it natural that my shoulders are unaligned because of my flute? And how do we have to keep a straight posture? Or how do you keep a straight posture while playing?
Okay, so the flute, in French we say flûte traversière, so like transverse, but meaning we play transverse, like it's not a straight flute. Like that would be the straight flute and then the transverse. And so, okay, first thing, don't play in one line with your body like this, like this. If you keep your head straight, then you're in one line. And that makes this arm very stretched and this arm stuck. And you see your arms are on the side. But if you turn your head to the left and you bring your arms more in the front, you see your arms are almost in front of you. They're not here, but they're here instead of there. So turn your head a little bit to the left, bring your flute to yourself, and make sure your arms are more naturally in front of you than like this. That could help, because if you're always stretching one and pushing the other one, it's gonna misalign your body. So there's that, and make sure you use your core to stay stable. Keep your deep abdominal muscles like holding your while you're doing all those movements with your flute.
Cool. Victor wants to know, what is your favorite song that you're working on at this time?
Well, right now I'm working on Paganini's 24th Caprice, because I want to record that soon, so that's what I'm working on. Been working on it for a while. I had a version, then I thought I don't really like it, then I found another one, then I modified it, and now I think I'm pretty much where I want it to be, and I'm gonna be able to record it soon.
Cool. Ramsey has 2 questions. Are you doing specific exercises in order to improve your breathing?
I did a lot when I was younger. I did a lot of breathing in my bed before going to bed, like breathing in 4 beats, then holding it 4, then breathing out 4, then holding it 4, and then I would increase to 6, 8, 10, like sometimes I would get to 15 seconds almost. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of holding my breath. I did a lot of exercises where I put my metronome at 60. I take 2 beats of a breath, and then I breathe out 5 beats, take 2 beats in, 10 beats out, 2 beats in, 15 beats out, like that, to practice to breathe in a certain amount of time and then breathe out longer and longer. Also just putting a stopwatch and seeing how long I can blow out in my flute, trying to go to a minute, but very, very softly like this. Stuff like that. Now I do a little bit of Pilates and eccentrics and all those types of things for the posture and the breathing, and it helps me a lot because I feel my body better. I feel where my body is in space and where my shoulder blades are, how they can move to make more space for the air, how everything moves in my body. So now it's more about awareness, and I think all those being more aware of your body, because your body is your first instrument, is so helpful. And yeah, breathing exercises are amazing. I also do cardiac coherence every morning when I wake up, and I try to do it 2 or 3 times a day, but at least I do it once in the morning. That's the minimum I do, and sometimes I go to 2, 3 times a day. And that's an exercise that you breathe in 5 seconds and you breathe out 5 seconds, and it brings a lot of calm. And I do that every day, but I don't really do it for the flute purpose, but for the calm that it brings, and for like just a health thing that I do. But I think breathing exercises, but they should also be hand in hand with posture awareness, because it's really linked together, posture and breathing.
So yeah, some people want to know what that thumb holder is in your right hand is, but in addition, somebody said my thumb is really short, so to properly hold the flute, I kind of have to push my thumb further. I think I saw the thumb port once on your flute. Should I invest in that?
Yeah, I think a thumb port is a good investment for a lot of people. Yeah, if your thumb is short, it could really help. It's like a little shelf for your thumb, so you put it here, and then you put your thumb under and it holds it. I played without it for 25 years, I think. And I was fine. Played very okay. Like, I got my degrees and everything. But then I bought one for my students, thinking I'm going to sometimes lend it to my students and see if they like it before they buy it, if they want to buy one. And I thought I'll try it. And now I love it. I just play with it all the time. I think my technique is even better than before. And yeah, it really helps with the stability, because your fingers should never be holding the flute. You should be like this, and your flute is held by itself. If your fingers are holding the flute, then they can't really be free to move as fast as you want. So the first thing, like earlier someone asked, how do you move your fingers faster? And I didn't say that thing, but I should have said it. If, like, you need to have free fingers. If the fingers are holding the flute, they won't be free to move. So if, like, I can also hold my flute without the thumb port, it's held, but I feel it's an extra easy with that. So
Another one is I'm always sometimes when I'm practicing, I always hear my breath mixing in with the sound. Is it normal?
okay, so you hear air in your sound. It's totally normal, because there's a little bit of air going out of the flute, because it's a whistle, so you need a little bit of air inside and some outside, like mostly inside, but still a little bit outside to get the whistle. So it's normal. And there's air that's actually good and helps with projection, and there's air that's more like something maybe you don't want in your sound. But don't be too obsessed with air. Try to get a nice sound that projects well. Sometimes air is helpful with the projection, and you don't really hear it from afar. But of course, if it's just, well, that's not what we're looking for. But even in my sound, there's a little bit of air. But it doesn't matter, because in a hall, it just makes my sound project far. Yeah. So if you're interested in taking lessons with me, we offer Skype lessons, and you can email us at info@theflutechannel.com, and we'll send you all the info for the flute lessons online through Skype or FaceTime or whatever the technical mean. And if you're looking for a flute, you can check the Flute Center of New York and use our code TFC. You can go on their website. It's flutes4sale.com. And yeah, they have used and new. They have the widest selection. And when you use our code TFC, you get perks, and it helps us out as well. It's all in the description if you want to look at it. And so it works worldwide. And thanks to everyone who uses our code. It's so nice of you. It really helps us out, and it's good for you as well. So that's it. Then if you want to look at our merch store, it's in the description below. We have shirts and mugs, and we have a very nice poster with all the fingerings, the scales, and the trill fingerings. That's very popular. Now we have cool shirts too, and cool leggings with concertos on it. And I have a concerto coming up soon. So on October 23rd, I will be playing at the Rialto in Montreal. It's with a festival called Printemps Numérique, and it's with the Orchestra 21, Orchestre 21. So if you're in the region and you want to come and see me, if you come to the concert, please come and see me after to say hi. I always like talking to you guys. So that's for that. And did I forget something?
No, but we have one last question just to close everything off. Anthony wants to know, what is a good piece or study to practice color? I know we talked about color today, but what are some pieces, or even that piece, like the first movement, can be something.
Yeah. A lot of slow movements, I would say. A lot of the French composers, all the French composer book, you mostly there's usually two movements, and so the first movement will be more a slow movement, and the second one faster. So Enesco Cantabile Presto is very good for that, or the Forêt Fantasy, but all the Forêt music, really. Forêt, you have Morceau de Concours, you have Fantasy, you have even some arrangements from Pavan. All those things, they're very good for the colors, because yeah. But any music, really, because like even Bach, like he likes doing the same thing 3 times and going somewhere else. Well, you can change the color every time you hear that same motive coming back, or change color when it's a new phrase. You pick. You can keep a color and just go louder and louder, and then when it's over, you completely change the whole ambiance with the new phrase that comes. Anything? Any question? No? Cool. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you. If you liked it, please like it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and leave your comments below. And thanks for watching. See you next time.